Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Let me test everything out. Good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning. Good to be back. Good to be back as we are every morning. Test. Facebook. What's happening? We're good on Facebook. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. You see the topic today. Got a lot to get to. A whole lot to get to today. As we always do, keep you informed. Around here in the move swiftly world, we do what we got to do. All right, so we're good on Facebook. Let me check LinkedIn. Testing. Mic check 1 2. LinkedIn. We're good. We're good on LinkedIn. Let me just repost it real quick. And YouTube. Mic check, testing. YouTube in the place to be. All right, good.
Mic check, testing.
All right, here we go. Good morning, folks. How's everyone doing out there? Great to see you on this beautiful Thursday morning. Before we get started, let me just introduce myself to anybody that may be new to my world. My name is Aswan Crookshank, former Division I college football player and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I do, what I created, what I'm all about is taking the teamwork lessons, the lessons that you learn on the football field in regards to teamwork, innovative teamwork lessons, all of the things that you learn on the football field, and aligning them with business owners of 20 or more employees so they have a staff and a group of employees, a group of people that moves as efficiently and as cohesively and are as eager as a championship level high school or youth football team. That's pretty much what we do around here. If you want more information on that, just go to makeyourmove.com. That's makeyaamove.com. Have all your options there in terms of how we would potentially work together and things of that nature. All right. So what we're going to be discussing today is how to I'm gonna get into some before I get started on the main topic. The main topic today is my new life group and how you handle disappointments, how you first of all recognize when something isn't going the way you want to go and you don't buckle, you don't compromise the things that you value, you don't compromise the worldview that you have, and you ultimately are making sure you're figuring out ways in which you can move on from a situation as quickly as possible so you don't lose any more of your most valuable resource, which is time. We're going to get into that today. That's why the title today is my new life group. However, before we get started, I'm going to give my thoughts a little bit on the NFL Combine and the issues. Again, I'm fair. Again, football man from through and through. Been a football man since I was 7 years old. So I'm very fair, and I'm going to talk about what is debuting today. It's going to be major news. It's going to be all over the internet today. Is people going to be talking about the NFL Combine, and it's going to be kind of the lead for the next 2 months in terms of who's going to go first. And Mel Kiper is going to have this draft board, and this one's going to have this mock draft, and Todd McShay. Everyone's going to have an opinion because everyone's fantasy football, all this kind of stuff, to the point where football people, the people that actually know football, it's hard for us to actually listen to this stuff because so much of what they say is complete nonsense. It's just meant to keep people engaged, which again, I get the hustle. So I'm going to give my thoughts on the NFL Combine that's debuting and starting up today. And we'll get into all of that and address all of that today on today's episode. So before I get started on all that, let me just get through a few announcements here and we'll get this party cracking. All right. First things first. Free boxing lessons. We are doing it every 2 weeks. The next one is March 1st at a local park out here in West Palm Beach. If you are interested in West Palm Beach, Florida, this is more so for the local folks. If you are interested in getting free boxing lessons, just simply hit that QR code that you see on the screen right there, and we will get you started. All right. Next thing, like I mentioned earlier, I'm here for you business owners that are really serious. They want to embrace teamwork. They are sick and tired of the turnover. They're sick and tired of constantly replacing employees, losing money, trying to train this one up and train that one up, and then the amount of mess that goes into it when you have to replace employees and replace staff members, it is an absolute headache, and it is absolute disaster and attack on your business and your profits. It absolutely eats at your profits and eats at your bottom line like you would have never. I've been a part of several of these organizations, which is what makes me an expert on the topic. You need to get out of this situation. It is the number one killer of all businesses, is the fact that you can't get the people right. I have a system. I have developed the system in which that problem can be taken care of before you even start the interview process. Hear me carefully. I want to make sure I say that again for the people in the back. All right. If you're sick and tired of a system in which you are constantly replacing employees and you find yourself losing money day in and day out, every single quarter you look at it and you're losing a ton of cash because you can't get the people right in your organization, I have created the system that'll make it so you can solve that problem way before the interview process starts, so you are already attracting the right person. And when you have the right person, you keep that person steadily improving and steadily upgrading. That's what the whole Move Swiftly system is all about. All right. So I created a free guide. It's freeguide.makeitmove.com. Simply put your information in. You put your information in and you'll get a free guide, free of charge. And it's a 10-step process in which you can start utilizing right now. In which you can start making it so your staff and your business is moving a whole lot more efficiently than it is right now. And finally, like I mentioned, Make It Move. You can get access to this on makeitmove.com as well. But if you want to just go straight to the link, it's patreon.com/as144, and we will get that rolling. Whatever part, wherever you see yourself fitting in, we have something for everybody, regardless of where you are profit-wise or where you are financially in your business, preseason, regular season, or postseason. We have something for everyone. All right, let's get in. Let's get started with some current news, especially current news over here in the Move Swiftly world, which is this NFL Combine. All right, so I'm going to tell you guys a story. And I got one clip that I want to show you by the greatest player of all time. His name is Ray Lewis. All right, greatest football player to ever lace him up, Ray Lewis. And tell you, and I want to explain to you why this combine is, how the whole combine works. I'll start off with just how the whole thing works. All right. When you're talking about football, you have to put things in perspective. All right. Football just happens to be a sport that has an unbelievable amount of popularity. All right. It's an incredibly popular sport. Millions and millions and millions of people are tuning in every Sunday. Their fan bases are absolutely enormous, whether we're talking about the NFL game or the major college football game. They have absolutely enormous fan bases. And what people do, because it's a revenue generating sport, all right, there's a difference between revenue generating and money making, like profit making versus revenue generating. Understand there's a difference between the two, which I talk about it in this book, The Six-Figure Athlete. I talk about the difference between revenue generating and money making, and understand football is actually considered a revenue generating sport. So because it's a revenue generating sport, and pretty much the major difference is the fact that if you have a game going on, you have a major game going on, the actual game, whether it's a game between, let's say it's a game between the Eagles and the Cowboys, right? It's a game that generates a lot of interest and generates a lot of people showing up and paying whatever they have to pay to watch the game. So that makes it revenue generating, not money making, because if the people didn't show up, they would still play the game. They'd still play the game. It just won't be as revenue generating. So that's pretty much the difference. So understand, when there's a revenue generating game like the game of football, the opportunity, people have to, media folks, and I'm not going to trash them too much on this in this episode, but media folks, people who are, and I guess I could consider myself as someone that's in this category as well, but people have to understand that, or people have to figure out ways to utilize the fact that the game is so popular to keep folks engaged in the game. All right. So what this NFL Combine does is it makes it so people are like the football fans, the diehard football fans that at this point are really going through it because we just spent 2 weeks now. It's a whole 2 weeks and there's been no football on that weekend, right? So it's like, oh my God, what are we gonna do with ourselves, right? So they have to figure out something to keep these folks engaged. Like I'll give you an example. Back when we were dealing with COVID and there was no sports and people were like going through it because they couldn't watch any sports, everything was canceled. ESPN decided to move up the what was that documentary with Chicago? It was what's the name of that documentary? I forgot. The Chicago Bulls documentary. Chicago Bulls. I can't believe it. I'm blanking on the name right now. Hold up. Bulls. What's the name of that thing? Last Dance. Yeah, The Last Dance. Right. So they moved. ESPN moved up The Last Dance. Like it wasn't scheduled to be aired until later on in 2020, but because of what was happening in the world, ESPN decided they were going to push up The Last Dance so people can watch it because the sports, there was no sports going on. March Madness was canceled. Like it was like an absolute depressing. I was depressed during that time. That was rough, man. I'm a huge sports man, right? So I needed to watch that. So again, I'm not here trashing the media folks or the media types per se, but I'm just explaining to you how this whole thing works. So when it comes to the NFL Combine, the reason it gets so much attention, the reason it gets so much media attention is because they are trying to, and they're continuing to engage the fans, the people who pay attention to the game and love the game of football. They are engaging and they're continuing to give them something to watch, even though the season is actually over. All right. So here's what I want to explain to you guys about the draft or about the combine, everything you're going to see over the next couple of days and from the draft. And you're going to see pro days, and then you're going to see you're going to see combine, then you're going to see pro days, and then you're going to see the draft, and you're going to see all this hype around it. And then boom, we're pretty much back to preseason and training camps opening up. And, football, again, it's year round at this point. It is actually year round. Here's what you have to understand about this as younger athletes. And I want to make sure I'm on the record saying this, especially for you parents and the people who are coming up. Understand that my background is that of a scout. All right. I spent years, I still do it even to this day, but my first job out of college, I was a college scout. I would go and watch games. I would go talk to families. I would go talk to actual high school athletes that had the goal of competing at the collegiate level. I just sit down, write notes, and I would actually put eyes on specific athletes. All right. So one of the biggest problems that I saw, and I still see it to this very day, is you thinking that you need to go out and make it so your kid is specializing in football. Your son is just specializing in football and they're doing football year round. So instead of you as a parent signing your kid up for, let's say, or advising your son to go and play basketball, or to have your son go play baseball, have your son go wrestle, have your son do some of the other sports, baseball, soccer, something, one of the winter or the spring sports, you're now paying your money to have a trainer train him up on a 40 or train him to test well and all that kind of stuff. And I'm here to tell you, don't do that. Do not do that. Make sure you are putting him, or you're advising him to play other sports. In fact, when I went to a camp. When I was in high school, I went to a camp as a sophomore. I was a sophomore in high school. I went to a camp. I grew up in Maryland, so I went to a camp at the University of Maryland. And I'll never forget it because they have the recruiting coordinators. They come in, they talk to the high school athletes, and I was one of those high school athletes that they talked to. And especially seeing that my high school was one of the better high schools in the area, it is one of the better high schools in the entire, mid-Atlantic, East Coast area, the Good Counsel High School. We've become, one of those powerhouse programs. One of the coaches from the University of Maryland was talking to all of us as high school kids, and he had us now it wasn't just one of the coaches, actually. I believe it was the recruiting coordinator. The recruiting coordinator from the University of Maryland, he posed the question. He had all of us raise our hand. He goes, all right, raise your hand if you're playing other sports. He goes, raise your hand high if you're playing other sports. I'm talking basketball, lacrosse, track, or is any of you guys wrestling, anything of that, like anything of that nature. And a lot of, obviously I wasn't. I was only playing. Well, I'm telling you this because I made the mistake. I'm telling you is because I'm living proof example that, only playing one sport is not going to get you where it is you need to be. So I couldn't raise my hand, but I saw all the other people around me, all the other players around me who were raising their hand for other sports. And the coach goes, you're doing the right thing. Just keep doing that. Just keep playing other sports. Keep doing your thing. Keep doing that, and you will make it so your football career lasts a whole lot longer. This is why I'm explaining this to you guys. So let me show you guys something real quick, because here I want to play you this clip that Ray Lewis, something that he said, and this was around the time I graduated college myself. And I remember hearing this and saying to myself, every time I get the opportunity, I want to make sure I spread this message, because he is 1,000% right. Go and talk to him, Ray.
It's just competition, right? So when somebody says, "Oh, are you ready to be done?" Why? I ain't found a man that'll flat out outwork me. You might outrun me in 40, but you ain't gonna flat out outwork me for 60 minutes. I don't. Ain't because I got nothing special. The only thing I got special is I made my mind up to be special. Greatness. It's a lot of small things done well, stacked on top of each other. Schoolwork, yes ma'am, no ma'am, pants pulled up over my waist. Small things.
That's it. All right. And when he makes the point of, you're not going to find a man to outwork me. You may outrun me in a 40, but you're not going to find a man to outwork me for 60 minutes. That's what other sports can do. All right. That's what you participating in other sports can do. Understand something. This doesn't happen. All right. This does not happen in a real game. This does not happen. I pulled up this image for a reason. This doesn't happen ever. We can all agree. Whether we're talking the college game or we're talking the NFL game, the pro game, which is virtually the same thing at this stage. But the winners of these championships, all right, whether you want to Ohio State or Philadelphia Eagles, they both had dominant defensive and offensive lines. Their offensive and defensive lines were better that day. And not once. Okay, maybe if you want to count Jack Sawyer, strip sacking Quinn Ewers and picking the ball up and running, where he ran like 95 yards. That happens how often in a game, right? And you saw how tired he was after that play. It doesn't happen. Linemen do not run 40 yards during a game. It just doesn't happen. So this whole NFL combine and all the stuff that they talk about, again, it's for you to stay engaged with the game, but it is not real football. And I have a couple minutes on this, and I'm going to get into my new life group. But the top prospects, I pulled it up, the top prospects from this year's NFL draft: Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Tyler Warren. My personal opinion, I'm going Mason Graham and Tyler Warren to have the best careers out of those four. Why am I doing that? I mean, I get, you guys, it's Michigan. I'm a diehard Michigan fan. So obviously, from a personal side, I want to see Mason Graham do well. But I was on record. I have a whole live stream that is available right now for you to read right now, or listen to, a live stream and an article I wrote about it. This right here was my favorite player this year. Tyler Warren was my favorite player to watch this year, a Penn State guy. I did a whole live stream talking about how that should have been the real Heisman. He was my Heisman pick. He was the one that I thought was just absolutely snubbed at the fact that he was not the Heisman. Again, got a lot of respect, a lot of love for Travis Hunter and everything he's able to do. But Tyler Warren was absolutely my favorite player to watch this entire season. All right. In my opinion, and you could quote it right now. I'm putting my stamp on it right now. I'm saying it with my chest. Out of these, we'll just go with the top five: Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Tyler Warren. I'm telling you right now, Mason Graham and Tyler Warren are going to have the best NFL careers out of all of them. And here's why. I'm telling you, here's why. Wrestler, Mason Graham, a wrestler in high school. It's the wrestling record. Okay. So a lot of those skills are translating into what he's doing on the D line. And then I did a whole live stream on my guy here. But Tyler Warren is like Swiss Army knife. He's a quarterback in high school, played baseball. He's a 3-sport athlete, did multiple things. That should be the real evaluation process. Those should be the things that you're actually evaluating. You shouldn't be evaluating how fast somebody runs a 40 or some of the measurables, because that doesn't really dictate how you're going to do in a real live game. All right, when you're in a real live game, you're scrapping, you're competing. You gotta have a level head, so to speak, and you can't be too high, can't be too low. You just got to be doing what you're doing. And again, I'm a huge Michigan fan, so I got the opportunity to watch Mason Graham a lot this year. And one of the things that not only myself, but a lot of the people who watch Michigan football as frequently as I do, they would say the same thing. Mason Graham, this guy, Mason Graham is not your typical D lineman. He is not, man. Mason Graham is not the guy that is he's making tackle. He's no, he's kicking your ass and he's smiling at you. He's the kind of player, and this is why I loved watching him, man, because he was the kind of player that would kick your ass and then just smile at you. There were several plays that I would watch, especially that Ohio State game where he's taking the dude, he's throwing him off him, and you just see him smiling at your ass. He was him. I loved watching Mason Graham. Like I said, him, Tyler Warren, two favorite players. In my opinion, I believe that of this list, I want to make sure I'm on the record, of this list, these top 5 prospects of this list is going to be Mason Graham and Tyler Warren are going to have the best NFL careers of this list. Because because I watched them a lot this year and I know what they're capable of, and I know their background, I know what playing other sports can do, and all of the things that I know about the game of football and know about athletics in general. But I'm telling you, whoever picks them is going to get the best bang for their buck, so to speak. All right. So that's it. I just wanted to make sure I said that, especially because we got NFL Combine stuff going on. And matter of fact, while I'm on that note, make sure if you want a real breakdown of the game, make sure you head over to, let me put it up for you guys on the screen real quick. Film session Saturday. We break all of this down. Hold up. Let me make sure I get it on the screen for you guys. Film Saturday. I want to make sure I have all of that on the screen for you all, so you can go check it out yourself. If you want a real breakdown of the game, you got to go here. Breakdown. What I'm doing every Saturday is breaking down actual games. The next one coming up March 1st, where I started the Texas and Georgia game. We started breaking that one down, and it'll be out this Saturday, March 1st. All right. So as far as what we're going to do, the main topic for today. The main topic for today is a lot like what I just brought up. All right. There's some similarities, not directly, but there's some indirect similarities in terms of where you're going to put your focus. All right. How you're going to handle bounce backs. And when it comes to evaluating talent, all right, evaluating guys, and like as I've been mentioning, it goes deeper than what you see in terms of measurables. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of how do you react in the moment? There's a lot of film you got to study. There's a lot of making sure you're making the right decision. There's a lot of internal work that you have to do to make sure you're making the right decision. So on the personal side here, there was, and I might have mentioned it last week when Valentine's Day was going on, but on a personal note here, there was a situation I was dealing with a potential suitor. That's what we'll call her, right? We'll call her a potential suitor. I was dealing with a potential suitor, someone that I had been texting back and forth with for the past month or so, that it was like last week maybe, where I personally blocked her. I personally blocked her because I didn't like the way she was, the lack of response time. Now, me personally, I'll tell you just something about me on a personal side. I have a very itchy block finger button. It's incredibly itchy. Incredibly itchy. I've been through too much rejection. I have seen a whole lot of different things. There's just people that I've come in and out of my life in so many different ways that I've learned at this stage of my life that, look, when a person is not following up on their word, when a person is not doing what they say they're going to do, regardless of the excuses, like I've removed so many excuses in my head that I'll be 100% honest. There are times where I probably have blocked people that didn't deserve to be blocked. But again, when certain things go wrong and you're not in alignment with what it is you said you were going to do, this block finger button is incredibly itchy because it gets really annoying when it comes to, especially a person like me that's constantly creating content, constantly on the move, constantly trying to figure out ways to get better. Whenever you get around people that are going to slow you down and, they saying one thing and they talking outside, like that stuff just, it irritates me, it agitates me, and it drives me crazy. All right, it drives me crazy. All right. So again, I say all that to explain to you all there was a potential suitor. There was someone that I thought if you would have asked me a couple months ago at this stage, I would have said we're probably seeing each other now, that I just decided to block because I didn't like the time or I didn't like the time she was taking to respond to certain things. And I didn't like the lack of response to certain things. I hated the, answering around questions. Again, me, very direct person, very much of a person that, wants a direct answer when it comes to certain things. So there was a period in my life where that would have left me very depressed. All right. But thankfully, I decided months ago that I was not going to be missing a Sunday of church. All right. I was especially the church that I attend. And if you tune into me regularly, you guys know that every single Friday, I go over the sermon that went down, that was given on the previous Sunday. I call it Faith-Based Friday, where I play a little bit of the sermon that came out on Sunday, and it kind of reignites me and reinvigorates me to make sure, I'm staying on point and I'm staying true to God's word and I'm staying faith-based and I'm continuing to grow my faith, because I can't do this work without God. I can't do this work without making sure the word of that God is the one that is lighting my steps, that is making it so I'm able to keep going. It is way too much to address. It's way too much content. It's way too many things that I've already put out there. Way too many young people who know me. I mean, the years and the amount of time I've been doing this, it's too much for me as one to handle on my own. I have to have a piece of God. I got to have that walk of faith. I got to have that knowing that, hey, as one, you're not in this alone. You are with, it's God with you regardless, right? So I made the decision to live my life in that way, right? So when I had to block the lady that I'm referring to, and obviously I won't put her name out there, but if she's listening, she knows who she is, because she's not getting, I'm not responding, not getting any responses from me if she is messaging me or anything like that. But, and it's no hard feelings, it's just kind of the way I am. But where was it? Yeah. So because of that mindset, I decided that, and so here's what happened. What happened was, when I blocked her, it got to a point where I said, you know what, where do I turn? And fortunately for me, I happen to be attending a church that really advocates and incentivizes people to join life groups, all right, to join life groups and to be a part of a group, be a part of a community that regularly comes to church. Get around people that understand you, get around people that are also in the same mindset and have the same worldview as you. So when I did that, I started to take it seriously, because me, again, I'm a natural born leader. I'm the one that's always, hey, grabbing the bull by the horns and saying, all right, let's do it. So I became a group leader. This is where when I put this, let me put this announcement up real quick. So I became a group leader. You see it right here, a life group. I became a group leader at this church before I actually joined a life group myself. So that was kind of the part where I started to say, look, as one, I've done this, been there, done that. You know what? let me slow down. Let me spend some time, being in the passenger seat a little bit. Let me spend some time being in the back seat and seeing how other people run their stuff and join some groups. And when I joined these, so what happened was I downloaded the Life Church app, and I looked at all the life groups and what I related to, and I signed up to a bunch of them. They had so many that I was just like floored, because I really never looked at it like that. I had already taken it as to say, all right, I'm joining this church. Now I'm going to go be the leader, the group leader, versus I'm going to join this church. I'm going to go be a part of a group and then build my group. Like, it's like sort of like thinking backwards, right? So when I did it, I saw, running group that I joined. I saw, actually, I just got a message. There's a group that's just for the teachers. There's a sobriety group. There's a exercise group, like a fitness group that does, like, I believe it's CrossFit or something like that. Tons of groups that relate to the work I'm doing. All right. And I was able to connect with them and meet up with them. But the one I want to talk to you guys today about is right here. Pete's Place. You see that place right there? Pete's Palace, Pete's Place. Let me tell you, man, I joined this group last week, and it absolutely made my weekend. It made my weekend last weekend, and I was so excited, so stoked to actually address this, because of how real it was, how real it felt, how full circle this entire thing and the whole way it kind of went down, how full circle it was. All right. So let me give you some backstory on this place. I first got to Palm Beach. It was like Wellington area. First got there. There was a shopping center. There's a shopping center right there on Jog Road. And it was right there on the way. So there was a KinderCare, and the KinderCare was right on Jog Road. And before KinderCare, there was a shopping center there there still is a shopping center there that had Publix. And there was a gym that I used to work out at called Crunch Fitness. So I would be in that shopping center pretty much every morning. All right. The gym had just opened up. It's a nice place. So I'd spent a lot of time in that shopping center. I spent a lot of time in that shopping center that has this Pete's Place here, Pete's Place, right? And because IHOP was there's also an IHOP in this shopping center, and IHOP is 24 hours. So, and IHOP is known, IHOP, you know the name IHOP, a restaurant franchise. They're out there all over the world. I always go in there. I get the chicken fajita omelet. I know what I'm going to get. Always get hooked every once in a while. Treat myself to some good breakfast there. Do my thing, all that kind of stuff, right? So, I remember going there when I first got out here. I remember going to that shopping center, and that would be my breakfast spot, right? Now, at some point, eventually, I discovered Pete's Place. I discovered Pete's Place, and I just went in there. It might have been a weekend or something like that, because they opened later. I just go in there, and I ordered me my first Polish omelet. Tell you, I don't know. The best way for me to describe it is like if you've seen that movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, and this might be it might throw you off, but it was very much the same way. Just no, it wasn't crack. But Jordan Belfort, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Leonardo DiCaprio. So he's playing Jordan Belfort, and they gave him his first hit of crack. Right? I can't remember. I think it was his assistant, the guy that was like his assistant. He was also in Moneyball. I can't think of his name right now, but it's Jordan Belfort, Leonardo DiCaprio, and the kid that played like his right hand man gave him his first hit of crack. And if you see Leonardo DiCaprio's face and he takes his crack, he's a So I was at Pete's Place, and I had my first Polish omelet. It was just like that. It was just like a first, like it happened. I don't, I'm sober. I don't do drugs. I don't drink or anything like that. But having that omelet was like, after like the years I've spent eating these chicken fajita omelets, these watered down omelets from IHOP, I don't even know if I've ever been back to an IHOP ever since I had an omelet from Pete's Place. All right. So every time I go in there, and there was a period there where I was going there at least 3 or 4 times a week. The waitresses knew my name. They knew exactly what was it got to the point where I would just sit down there by myself and the lady wouldn't even have to ask what I'm getting. She would just say, "Here you are again. You want your Polish omelet, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah, you already know I'm getting my Polish omelet." So I fell in love with this place. I fell in love with this place. Now, obviously, I couldn't continue to go because I left that kindergarten and I had to move. I went to another one in Royal Palm, and then I ended up here. It's the foundation school where there's no Pete's Place at all. There's no Pete's Place at all that's available. So the frequency in which I went to this restaurant was no longer available. I wasn't there as often at that point, right? So what happened was when I was looking through the life groups that Life Church has to offer, I saw Pete's Place, and I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" Because the church that now I'm going to church regularly, and I'm going to Life Church regularly. It's not the proximity from the Life Churches that the 2 campuses in West Palm Beach. They're not too far from the Pete's Places. There's 2 on Jog Road, and both of them are pretty close to Life Church. So I've been able to get there on the weekends and things like that, whether it's before or after, because I'll be attending services and stuff like that. So I got there a little more frequently. It's not as often as I did before, but it's still, it's Pete's Place. So they have a reputation. So they have a life group that meets at Pete's Place every Saturday. And I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the app. I'm looking for new life groups to join. And I'm like, "Are you serious right now? Serious? Are you kidding me?" And again, I know the place. I've been there. I was actually there the week before, and had my same Polish omelet and saw everything. So that's like, yeah, sign me up wherever I got to sign up. So it took them a while to actually reach back out, but it was the Friday night. So the way the life group works is every Saturday morning. They've been going there for decades, long before the Life Church. Some of the Life Church was even built. They had they was telling me, they meet every Saturday to just talk about their relationship with God, some of the things that are going on in their life, how people can help, the support, the community, all of those sorts of things that they were doing, that they are doing, not working, that they are doing to, help build a community and help build a life in which people are understanding that God is going to be with you regardless, and that we're here to support and here to help people that are going through whatever their trials and tribulations are. They've been doing that every Saturday morning for years. And it just so happened that, and this is why the thumbnail looks like this, where you see the old school Redskins fans and old school Michigan fans, right? It just so happens that I get there, and I'm, when I'm, again, mid-30s, young black kid, and I don't want to call myself a kid, but young black man that's there, and I'm kind of out of place. If you're talking about just identity in itself, kind of out of place, because you don't see people that are my age, or nor people that really look like me or my skin tone or anything like that. And it would have been easy for me to say, this life group ain't for me, and I don't really relate if I'm just going off identity. But if I'm going off God's word, if I'm going off the fact that I want to continue to grow my faith, if I'm going off the fact that I want to continue to build something special, I'm going off the fact that I want to be responsible for my own self-determination, I sit down and I listen to these people. And it just so happens that this was the most relatable group of people that I've been around in the 7 years since I've been out here in Florida in general. I've related the most to this group of older, elderly white guys than anybody that I've met since I've been out here. And that's saying a whole lot, because I met a lot of people out here. And the reason, all right, what started things off, what made me, and I'll give you kind of a briefing of the conversation, then I'll close you guys out. But the The reason it started off so well was, number one, I'm used to introducing myself to people. I'm used to addressing a new group of people. I'm used to speaking publicly. I'm used to being out of my comfort zone. I have already prepped myself in terms of being able to do that the right way. This is what we do here every single day, Monday through Friday. I'm constantly doing it on the Move Swiftly Thoughts. You can't, I mean, I've been there, done that. So I know how to introduce myself, and I know how to develop a style in which I can meet new people and we can be good and have that conversation. That was how it started. I was open enough to meet new people. I'm open-minded enough to meet new people and try new things. That's number one. Second thing, though, is I had mentioned to them that I am an absolute psychotic Michigan football fan. Michigan football fan. And also I mentioned to them that I was born and raised in Silver Spring, Maryland. And then the question got posed to me, wait, that means you're a Redskins fan? So it started off by me explaining to them that I'm a Michigan fan. And there were several, this guy, the reason I put him up is because this was the kind of person that I was sitting down with, old school Michigan fans. I mean, the guy who started the entire group, he came a little late and he had on all his Michigan gear. And he's like, yeah, man, I knew back in Bo Schembechler days. And he knew the owner of Pete's Place. He was like one of them old school cats. And I'm sitting there like in amazement. Like, I'm like, yo, this is crazy right now, man. Because I've been coming to this restaurant for so long and I didn't even know you guys connect on that. And then the other guy that supports the group and has been going to the group regularly, he diehard Redskins fan. I mean, he pulled out his keychain and he's like, yeah, I'm Redskins all the way. I'm with you. So here you have my two favorite teams, the two teams that have provided me so much, even provided me so much to this day. There's so much of what they're about creates the content in which I ultimately produce, whether it's, Moving Swiftly, a Wintrepreneur, and, the whole brand, everything I'm doing, it comes from being a psychotic fan of those two organizations and the way that they've been able to maintain relevance, even in the seasons in which they don't perform that well. I'm such a loyal fan to them that it ultimately created a worldview and created a mind to create a business for me that I can never not be a fan of them. Now they did, and then not only that, but we also had that conversation in which we talked about how the name change was ridiculous and how now it's coming out that we want to go back to the Redskins and all the things that I think about, all the things that I address, all the relatable things that happen. We talked about that Saturday morning. And I'm telling you, it did not happen because I planned it. It happened because I was open-minded enough to, first of all, continuing to stay faithful by going to church every single Sunday and making sure that even though that I was disappointed in a potential suitor that I thought I was going to be with, instead of going down the route I used to go down and, take a 12-pack and, kick him back and find a bottle of Bacardi and start venting to some bartender and, she's there to lick my woobs and, just throw him back. No, instead, I joined a sobriety group that the church had. I joined a running group that the church had. And most importantly, I joined another life group in Pete's Place. And I made sure I wasn't going to go down that route at this stage in life. Now, it's like, hey, disappointments happen. People are going to let you down. Every single person will let you down, but God will not let you down. And developing that walk of faith allows me to be better off than I was before when I thought that situation was going to work out the way I thought it was going to work out. That's the point of today's video. That's the point of today's episode, is whenever disappointments happen, and this is relatable in all facets, folks. It's relatable in every single facet of your life, personally, professionally, physically, whatever it is you are feeling in your bones. As you hear me tell you this situation and tell you this story, you have got to make it a habit that you are not going to let another person be the reason that you don't have a good day or you don't have a good moment. Don't do it. Don't give people that power over you. Don't give people that control over you. Don't give human beings the control over you that they don't deserve. They don't deserve that kind of leverage over your life and what it is you're trying to do. Never let that happen, because that's what they want. When they see you miserable with them, See you miserable with them, they win. The devil wins. Satan wins when they see you miserable with them. And that's what the media pushes. That's what's all over. That's what sells. That's what gets the views. That's what gets the likes. I get it. But make sure you have something in your core, something in some principles that you're standing on that keeps you from letting people get to the point where they're starting to ruin your happiness and they're getting in the way of your progress. Don't let that happen. And that's on you. That's where you get to hold yourself accountable. Okay. So that's all I got for you guys today. Make sure if you want to dive deeper into all my work, the main website to check out is makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. It's a one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As you can see there, as that we could join the Patreon, you can book me to speak, and you can learn more about me. All that is on makeyourmove.com. That's makeyourmove.com. Like I said, it is your one-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. As Juan Cruikshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.